Hello and welcome on the program. This is Political Square on Social Plus Africa TV, and I am your host, Eswati Ipi. As Nigeria comes closer to the 2023 election, more promises keep springing up for Nigerians by presidential candidates alongside scrutiny of the past and present leadership. A presidential candidate envisions a $1 trillion economy boost for Nigeria in his manifesto. Yes, a $1 trillion economy boost. Just like you, I can't wait to meet this presidential candidate because we all know, and I believe he does too, that Nigeria's major problem right now is poor economy. Well, fortunately, we have this presidential candidate in the studio today as our guest for the week. Stay on the program, and this candidate will be introduced to you shortly.
Welcome to Political Square on Social Plus Africa. Today we have a vibrant Nigerian politician, presidential candidate YPP, Mr. Malik Ado Ibrahim, on our program. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
In your opinion, what is wrong with the country today?
Well, we've got to a point now where everything has come to a standstill. The economy is slow, security issues, the sense of something bad is about to happen is prevalent in everything we do. It sort of also always happens at the end of a term of a presidency. There's an uncertainty, but I don't think we've had it this bad since the sort of towards the end of the Jonathan administration. It was bad, but this is really a bad time for Nigeria, and we need to fix we need to find a solution that is long-lasting and sustainable, and not keep doing the same thing over and over again, bringing these older politicians in. They're devoid of ideas. We've seen the best of the old ones, and any of the other ones coming through now are not going to be any better than Buhari. So I think for me, President Buhari has done his best. Now the next generation of Nigerians need to take over.
Okay. What do you do differently to fix this?
Well, I think our manifesto starts and ends on three very important things for Nigeria. We believe that the sense of security in this country it's terrible, and we need to reaffirm and take back the security apparatus and the strength of this nation. We're a firm believer that needs to happen. Our economy is in tatters. And as a mono economy focused on oil and gas, we believe there's a lot more that Nigeria has to offer. But above all, we're a country in a modern age that depends on technology and artificial intelligence and everything else that's good about the outside world. But we don't have enough power to secure our nation. And this is the biggest problem I think that we face. Without power, the security and the economy are not going to work anyway. So we're in the dark ages and we need to fix that.
Okay, good. As a young Nigerian politician, what do you think? Do you think there is a hope for Nigeria to regain a sovereign state in the next 5 years?
I pray so. There are a lot of pieces of the puzzle that have been pulled apart because the country is failing. The Southeast wants independence. The Yoruba people want independence. We haven't heard from the North yet, but even agitations here and there. Middle Belt wants its own identification. This doesn't happen when the country is healthy and happy and things are working, the economy is moving and people feel secure. They don't tempt the government. They don't attack it. And right now, the government is being attacked. Our nationhood is being attacked. And I believe that the country really needs somebody that understands that in order for us to be united, we have to be united in a lot of things. As I said, without power, security, and the economy being strong, all these things will sort of fall apart. And again, I go back to the point that we have two parties that are considered the main parties in Nigeria that are trying to make us believe that they have the answers. In fact, if you go back to 2015, you'll notice that at that point, these three gentlemen, the present president, the one that thinks it's his right, and the one that believes is an unifier. All three of them were sitting on the same stage at the collaboration between ACN and the CPC, and Atiku was involved in all that, and Ashibaju was there, and President Buhari was there. And if President Buhari was the best of what they could offer, then they're definitely the worst of what is left. And I believe that if we bring those two parties back into power, and anything that resembles that party, anybody who's been involved in Nigeria in the last 30 years, we're definitely having a big problem ahead of us that needs to be solved. They are devoid of ideas, and they're not fit to rule this country.
Okay, you talk about $1 trillion economy in your manifesto.
Yes.
How do you intend to even go about generating such wealth for Nigeria economy?
The funny thing is, the wealth is there. We see it, but we don't see it. Our government doesn't understand it, so it can't be implemented. When you have something so easy as oil coming out the ground, insecurity, so there's theft, we can't even get the full benefit of the 2 million barrels a day we produce today. We're only getting about 700 to 800,000 barrels a day out of that. We are in trouble. So that economy is what they've focused on, and the theft and corruption happens there. But look at Nigeria. We have phenomenal agro that's not being dealt with. So the agricultural, from just the farming to the beneficiation of the farming to the value added for farming, we don't do that. We have gold. It's been stolen from Zamfara. You hear all these noises. These are private individuals. The economy is not involved. These are private individuals and governors taking the gold and taking it to Dubai and Turkey and Asia, and they've turned that into private wealth. You look at things like uranium, rare earth. We have tremendous natural resources. But if you understand what you can do with those resources, you can turn your economy around. There are jobs there. There's strength there. There's tremendous amount of economic power that can be derived. If you take these segments and you put them into one big, well-managed government portfolio, I dare say we're, if not at $1 trillion economy, we're above that. But it takes somebody who understands how to build an economy, and I believe that I'm one of those that are best placed to do that. And understanding this, if you've never run a business and you come, run a business, not to take one over or be a chairman of one or usurp powers. If you build a business, you can build a country's economy. If you've balanced balanced your books, you can balance the economy of the country. If they haven't done it, they'll never be able to do it when they're in power, because they will ask somebody else to do it, and they don't know if they're good or not. If you don't have the expertise and experience, you cannot pick. You can only go by resume. But if you've done it and you have that control and understanding, you can build this country. It's a young country. It's a young country in it's 62 years old, and it's a young country because the population is vast and also very young. Over 100 million people that can be brought into the workforce. I dare say that the parties right now are devoid of those ideas, and they will put these older men or individuals that are controlled by older men. We really need to look at what's coming up and be honest to ourselves as Nigerians. Am I picking somebody because of his religion? Am I picking somebody because of his expertise? Am I picking somebody because of the way he's zoned or his ethnic background? We don't need that. We need somebody who has specific goals and can enunciate that and tell the public what he's going to do, give them confidence, and let the public give him the necessary power to be able to go in there, the mandate to be able to deliver a great Nigeria come 2023.
Wow. Where do you get this confidence from?
Well, I think the confidence comes from a very good background. I've understood from birth what it is to serve people. I come from a family that has pretty much done that from its inception. And I'm just the next generation of the Atta family that is about to do this. I'm a minority in this country and overlooked for many things. But you cannot overlook acumen. And that acumen that I believe I have comes from experience in business on my own, working in government agencies around the world, working for other presidents around the world, having a very good military background, having a very good power background, and more importantly, I have built things that are nation builders, whether it's renewable energy, climate economy. There are some specifics that I have that when I look at the field, I just shake my head saying, no, they can't do it. And that is the confidence that I have that if given the ability to show this to Nigeria, they will find that there is no other choice than a uniquely produced Nigerian entity and a proudly Nigerian person.
Okay, thank you so much. You have not had any government experience. What makes you think you can deliver on economic promises?
Well, the government experience that everybody else has, if that's what's the yardstick, how we're going to measure everybody, then we are really in trouble. Everybody has come in and has taken the Nigerian economy and has used it as their own business. I come from a different sort of frame of mind that the economy of Nigeria is best handled by somebody who understands how to be the chief executive. I believe that the position I want to take is the chief executive officer of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and that way I can build a better nation. I can build one that is all encompassing and united. But more importantly, I just believe that everybody else that we're looking at right now is just there for the it's my turn. I've been in government. I run a state, but really, even if it's a question of building roads, the Romans built roads thousands of years ago, and those roads are still standing. I dare say any of those three individuals that I'm focusing on as what is not good for this country haven't built a road that has lasted 10 years. Haven't built structures that are still standing. They don't have any opportunity to show Nigeria what they're capability of. Only I have the money, it's my turn, or go and verify. And all those things do not qualify you to run this great country.
Thank you so much for your time. How do you intend to show the difference between you and other parties to the public for selection, and how will you describe your opponent, especially APC, PDP, and Labour?
Well, I'm going to be politicking right now. I always say I'm not a politician, but I would like to contrast who and what we are. The APC is a party that's been in power for the last 8 years and promised so much to deliver Nigeria from PDP and all its supposed ills. But I think most Nigerians would rather see what PDP did being available today than what they are experiencing today, because we have really gone down that slippery slide very, very deep. And it's a mistake. So if I put at least those first two together, the APC and PDP have cross-carpeted each other. If you look at APC, you'll see people that were there from the PDP party that have come across. And if you look at PDP, you'll see people have cross-carpeted to the other side. I describe them as the same side of the coin. The other side of the coin is the Labour Party, which is a combination of all those other people and APGA put into the other side of the coin. So we're dealing with the same people. The candidate for a Labour Party has come from APGA to PDP, couldn't get what he wanted in PDP, and he switched over to Labour Party. Very convenient. The presidential candidate from PDP was in ACN, then he was in PDP, then he was in APC, and he's done all sorts of other craziness just to be at the position of power. The APC candidate believes that he has made everybody, and now it's his turn to be made. I don't know what it is about this presidency that those politicians will not give an opportunity for a younger person to come in with more vibrant ideas, with more visionary. They believe it's their right, and that causes confusion to a lot of young people. That's why there's this voter apathy. They don't care. They believe it's going to be manipulated, and the votes will be changed to suit the leadership that corrupts the best. I don't see any difference in all three parties. Somebody is describing Peter Obi as a sort of a messiah and something different, but I don't know what lens they're judging or what microscope they're looking at, but he's one of the same. He was in the last iteration the vice presidential candidate for Mr. Atiku when he ran against President Buhari. and didn't get what he wanted, and couldn't work with Mr. Atiku anyway, and has decided to go on his own. My party, I consider the third party, in fact, because if you look at governance, we're the only other party existing, Labour Party, SDP, AP, everybody else. We have 2 senators. We have members of the legislature in our party already. No other party gives you that. And these are young political figures that are in APC and PDP that have seen the ills of what has happened. Our 2 senators are from PDP. They've come into the Young Progressives, knowing full well that what the other parties are going to present will not allow them to rise to the top, will not allow them to project their new ideas of a new Nigeria. And I believe that my party definitely stands completely apart. It's dynamic, it's young, and I believe that I present the best opportunity for Nigeria to rise to a different level, and it's a level that the other parties just cannot get to.
As a young, vibrant Nigerian youth that's contesting, what is your plan for youth?
When we were discussing about the 1 trillion economy, I omitted talking about the engine room of Nigeria, which is the youth. And the youth sector in Nigeria is enormous. You look at companies like Paystack and Flutterwave that are valued in the billions of dollars already. You look at our entertainment business, Afrobeat, Kannywood, Nollywood, they're in the billions of dollars already. And these are happening without government attention, without government encouragement. And I believe that the kind of presidency that I want to bring is understanding that this got circa 100 million young Nigerians between the age of 18 and 35 years old that require some kind of nurturing. I want to create incubators so that the technology world would work properly, so that we can get them into environments where they can feel that their talents can be exposed and flower. I want to create a better entertainment incubator as well, where we have sound stages and we have the ability to take places like Tinapa and engineer them so that young people can go in there and use them, and we can give them a helping hand in getting those art forms out there. And for our opportunity globally, Nigeria is leading in developing this very strong image of a Nigeria that is culturally aware. Afrobeat is on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, and we're seeing young men and women around the world dancing to our music. It is so inspiring, and it's an amazing thing as a Nigerian entrepreneur and a businessman when I travel and you're hearing Nigerian music on the radio, and people don't look at it's a Nigerian or whatever, they appreciate what we produce, and I love that. And I dare say it's not what these older men can appreciate, because they'll tell you they can dance, they'll bring some steps, but they understand how it's made. And it's places like Ojuelegba or Kanu or Aba that we need to embrace them and say, look, I'll give you the environment to be great, but it's a taxed industry. If you give them the enabling environments, then the country should benefit from it. And I think things like Grammy Awards or music festivals or those kind of things can be brought back home. And the kind of administration I want to celebrate that youthfulness by creating environments and events so that the world can see Nigeria in a different light. When you're too old, you don't see this. And you look at our sports as well. Okay. And I believe that the sports industry does something that is immeasurable. If I played the British national anthem right now, people will probably know the words. The American national anthem or French, or not even know the words, they'll sing the song. And that's because you hear it on NBA, the NFL, the Olympics, events that are global. You hear those national anthems and they're almost selling themselves. And I believe that we must encourage Nigerian sporting entities, give, again, an environment where young Nigerians can come and work on their sports and develop better footballers, create other sports that Nigerians are naturally good at, things like rugby, UFC fighting, boxing. These are the things that are missing in Nigeria today. And I believe that if you're not a young or at least exposed in that environment, in this global scene, you cannot appreciate what you can build with the young people of Nigeria. And we need to give them as many opportunities and tentacles to be able to build themselves into a better citizen for this country.
In your manifesto, you have identified 3 sectors that you will focus on. How do you intend to achieve your state goal in these sectors?
Well, so I understand that Nigeria is in a very difficult situation, and in order to do things, you cannot do everything. And if you don't have a focus, you will drop the ball. Our foundation is very uncomfortable and it's rocky. And I believe the 3 things that we've identified, as we said, the economy, security, and more than anything, power, are also opportunities for great jobs for this country. So if in defining it, I looked at my Reset Nigeria initiative, which is to try to focus on rebuilding the foundation. The first part of that is definitely power, to get more power onto the grid and to get more embedded power using renewable energy to create an energy mix, so that places that you think are a little bit distant from the grid cannot get there. You can use the sun, you can use wind, you can use battery storage systems to give power and lights to these areas. We need to bring the rural areas up so that farming, mining, and all those sort of labor-intensive arts are developed, because everybody wants to run into the cities, but you give them a better quality of life in the villages and in the towns, things will improve. So for me, power and succeeding with a power mix, taking the grid as it is and adding other elements like renewable and sustainable energy is going to help us as a country. And again, this is something out of all the competitors out there, I'm the only one who's done this. I'm the only one who's doing it. And I believe that I'm an asset to this country. And I want to bring this to the fore. So there is no point me not talking about what I'm good at, because this is the season to shine. And I believe that is one thing that we're good at. With regards to security, again, a unique proposition. Maybe only Mr. Al-Mustafa is the only person that I believe has the kind of experience I want to bring to the fore. But we need a president that is not going to be asking for advice as to a military or security or developmental military-industrial complex. The world is very different now, and these Western countries use their production power to either hurt us or help us, and they never always help us to the full extent. So I believe that somebody like myself that is in the military industrial complex, that understands the military systems and the security systems and what you can do with power and security, using our satellite in space, NATCOMSat, and using it to help us identify, track and trace, using power so that our CCTV cameras that you see all over the world in other countries working, they must be up and running. We need a command and control center in every state and a federal command and control center so that we can identify these issues. We need to digitalize our economy, taking analog things and turning them in, digitizing them. License plates, passports, driver's license, all these things need to be in a central data service system so that we can triangulate. We can tell when somebody has stolen a car and you stop that car because you want to identify the person. You can track the fact that the driver's license is either the driver of the car or for the owner, and the owner is the right one, or the car that has that license plate is a Mercedes, not a Peugeot 406. There's all these things that technology does, and that creates jobs. So for me, it's fundamental that you don't just look at security as people carrying guns. That is the end result of, that's the end engagement. You can secure yourself before these things happen by making sure that you can track and trace. You see it on movies, you see it in the news when developed countries are trying to track and see that a perpetrator did something here, but the camera picked him up outside a room, and these sort of events and tracking and tracing perpetrators you need power to do that, and you need technology. And those are two things that I believe I can bring to the table using Nigerian youth and their technological prowess, and providing the power for this to happen. But all this, when you get it right, the economy is now ready. Because if you're an investor, you look at the country and you say to yourself, okay, they've got power, so I can bring in my industry. Oh, they're secure, so I feel good. I can take my money there. I can be sure that I'm not going to have kidnappings and all these things happen. Foreign direct investment will come in. Citizens feel safe. They can, build things, create farms, not worry that they're going to be attacked on their farms. You're not going to be robbed in broad daylight because there's no checks and balances for all these things. So I believe that these three things, if you mold them together, you get the rudimentary elements for a great country to begin to rise out of the dust. And I just do not see anybody's manifesto, anybody talking about this. And even if they talked about it, it would only that they copy what we say, but they don't have the expertise and understanding of how to make these things work. So I'm always very careful not giving too much information, but definitely giving enough information so that Nigerians feel comfortable that this man knows what he's talking about and he can deliver.
Thank you so much. I heard you are not happy about some of the emerging policies in this college administration. What particular things that you are not happy about?
I feel that this administration had an opportunity, a window to make everything right. When President Buhari came in, everybody was fearful that iron hand that he had in 1984 would right the wrongs of the PDP government that were his predecessors. But due to maybe ill health or not quite understanding what needed to be done or picking the wrong people, I believe that the second level of government has disappointed the president. I believe that the administration had good intentions, but they didn't have the will or the right people in place. We picked from the same old people. I remember people like Audu Ogbe were brought into government, and I was wondering, what's going on? Why can't we find somebody who understands allied business? We're bringing in somebody who is part of the past. He could be a great advisor, but he didn't have the energy. And yes, whatever happened to him happened to him. We've got people that are more worried about self and developing themselves rather than developing the country. And this is my opinion, because when you look at things like our aviation sector, you say we brought a pilot in, I don't really see anything that has developed there. We have gotten worse. It's taken 7 years for us to get what they said they were going to do, which was a national carrier. And we spent all this money instead of looking at the airlines that were failing, like Aero and Arik, and saying, these assets, let's put them together. Let's create a national airline and keep those jobs. Now you're going to compete with, government is now competing with the private sector. You're going to take jobs away. You're going to ruin companies like Aero and Arik, and we could have done something different. This was an opportunity to unite Nigerians and make people feel, my government is thinking about me, not self. Then we're privatizing the concessioning the airports on the way out. We've had 7 years to do this, and now on the way out, you've got a new airline and you've got concessions of our 3 major airports. And by the way, a new airline that is majority owned by another African country, which just makes you believe that Nigerians we've understood that we're actually worthless. I don't prescribe to this. I don't accept it. It's not part of what I would do. And as a president, I would immediately put a halt to all those things. It's too late in the day for this administration to be putting such policies on the way out, and we're stuck with them. You need to be bold. You need to reverse them, or at least review them, so you make sure that there are no oddities in there. So that's the aviation sector. You look at things like our solid minerals. We have so much wealth in Nigeria, and we have lackluster leadership. We have people that have come into power that only take from our people, and they're not willing to give anything back. They're not willing to build. And I dare say that if you put that litmus test of leadership into Nigerian government over the last, I'll say since the 1980s, only one man stands out. And I'm not there because I want to praise him or anything, but they always ask, what did you build? What have you built? What did you leave behind when you were administrator? But can you imagine Lagos without Third Mainland Bridge? Babangida, yes, took that bold move and he made it happen. We're talking about flooding and unfortunate events that have happened and killed thousands of poor souls in the last month or so. But the floods in Lagos happen every year, and once it's over, people forget that it's coming. We don't build things to protect ourselves. The flooding that's happened now could have been stopped 40 years ago. when we were supposed to build a dam in Adamawa, the dam that would not just stop the floods from coming in, but it would produce 300 megawatts of power. Our government didn't do anything. Successive governments haven't done anything. Every 10 years, last one was 2012. We know it's coming. We don't do anything about it. This is when you don't have continuity, you don't have visionaries, you don't have people who are empathetic about Nigerians. It's only about what we do. And the biggest crime of all is that our policies for our income generation in Nigeria are horrible. 70% of our budget services 1 million people out of 216 million people. 70% of our budget is only to feed, house, and give the feeding and welfare of the government. Only the government. 70% of that, some almost 11 trillion naira is spent on those people only. That's criminal. So we need to reduce the size of government so that we can spend more money on better healthcare, better police, better pay for normal people. The minimum wage cannot be paid because all that money has been spent on government wages and their remunerations and all their packages. Our vice president and president are about to leave the office. What is their package? 63 billion naira is your pension payoff. That's just, it's maddening in this day and age that you know that 63 billion is your severance pay as you leave this in a country where we are in trouble. So we need to also understand that in politics we need an opposition party. If PDP was going to wait 4 years to come and challenge this administration, they're nothing. They didn't do anything. They didn't challenge them. They now challenge them and their policies because elections are coming. But in any other country, whether it's the Republicans against the Democrats in the US or the Labour Party against the Conservative, there's a parliament, there's a debate, there's, you didn't build the road, you didn't build the dam, you didn't fix this, you didn't do that. But nobody says anything. And the reason why is when they get into office, they know they're going to have if that peace is going to be there for them to basically rape this country. So we at YPP are very convinced that we're in this for a fight. If the Almighty says it's ours, it will be, and we will change this country. But if for some reason it is not ours, we are going to remain in opposition, a thorn in the side of the next government, so that they deliver on their promises to the people. And I intend to be at the forefront of that, leading the charge to make sure that we put their feet to fire. When government doesn't do what the people want, then we need to stand up and talk to them and agitate them, because that's the real politics of this country that's missing.
Thank you so much. So, if we are given the opportunity to rule this country now, do you think, with this your weight of experience, do you think you can do something differently from other administrations?
I definitely think so. And I'll start from a very simple place. I've never been in politics. I owe nobody nothing. I owe the people who put me in office everything. So I don't have this attitude that I have people that I have to pay off, a godfather or any of those things. Because if you look at those three parties that we've discussed, they all know each other. When they come in, the same people are going to be running this country again. You will be surprised. They'll change parties. If PDP wins, APC and Labour people will move over to that party. There's no political difference between any of these parties. So as the presidential candidate of YPP and a party that believes in a different type of Nigerian kind rule and governance, our opportunity to be very specific about what we want and how we get there is very important. Our difference is going to be that we can apply policies. It's going to be difficult because unless we win a lot of seats in the Senate and House, we won't be able to do it. But as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and in a democracy, you're there to do battle with your opponent and come to compromise so that we can get this country moving again. And with the support of the Nigerian people, I believe we can do that. And of course, if we win, I also believe that people will cross carpet into our party as well. So we will look for the best of Nigerians. This is not politics with some sort of bias or anger. But I think there are a lot of missteps. A lot of people have stolen money from this country and ran away, or they've bled the system and the money is outside in England or in Switzerland or in America, and they're just cooling their heels till they can come in. I believe in revenue restitution. I believe people out there that have been petroleum ministers or government individuals that want to come home should come home, pay restitution, and bring that money back in and give them a way back into the country. I don't want that money sitting in taking 3% in the Bank of England or wherever it's kept. They're Nigerians. They should be welcomed back home. There's forgiveness, and there's other ways the president can show some sort of amnesty and pardoning people. But we need all bright hands on deck, and we need to set that example. And we need to make sure that the punitive measures are there. If you do not perform, you're out. If you steal, you'll be punished. I believe that there's a strong arm to do it. You don't need to be shouting to people be afraid. You need to do things so that people will see that you are serious.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Empathy and vision for me were the catchy words in that interview, because I believe that with empathy and vision, policy generation in Nigeria will be about Nigerians, for Nigerians, and for the future of Nigerians. I don't know what it is for you, but I believe that empathy and vision should be the winning words. Well, keep watching the program as we bring closer to you your presidential candidates. Thank you for watching today's program. We'll meet again another time. Goodbye.